Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to a further description and review of one of the chapters in the Jannach German for Reading Knowledge. And this is session covers chapter 6. And just going to center this here a little bit. So Sierra's here with us. You want to say hello, Sierra?
Hello.
Okay. So again, we're going to review the quiz first, and then we'll go to the 100 important stems, review that, some of the easy key vocab, and then look at the sentences in the 1980 and the 5th edition. Okay, so I'll just read these out loud, and if you want to let me know what their meanings are, this O should not be capitalized. Anyway, so here we go. Ohne bestehen aus, go ahead.
Without, to consist of,
Damals eng.
at one time, and narrow,
Good. Gegen glauben.
against or toward, and glauben, to believe.
Yeah, gegen is one of those prepositions which we'll cover in this chapter that always takes the accusative. Denken, folgen.
To think, to follow,
Great. Geben, gemäß.
to give, and gemäß, according to.
Good. Great. And here, always in this case, I happen to be giving the second principal part just to get used to that format that we're going to be following. Okay. Kaum die Kirche.
Hardly, and the church.
Good. Die Lage nennen.
The situation, and to name or
Good.
call.
Yeah. Good. Our word name comes from that. Möglich, niemand.
Possible, and niemand, no one.
Das Reich sowohl wie.
Empire, and both and not only.
That's right. Yeah. Die Untersuchung.
Around or about, and investigation or examination.
Great. Literally means to look, to see, search under something. Verstehen.
To understand.
Great. So this chapter focuses on prepositions and the case that some of them always take. And as you're writing a phrase, you really have to know both that information and also the gender of the noun that's in that phrase. So we'll take a look at lots of examples of that. Can you give me 8 of the prepositions that always take the accusative?
Sure. Bis, durch, entlang, für, gegen, ohne, and weiter.
Wieder, you could say it's like against.
Okay.
Not very common preposition. How about 6 of those that always take the dative?
Aus, außer, bei, entgangen, mit, nach, seit, von, zu.
Okay. You omitted my favorite, gegenüber and gemäß. Okay. How about some prepositions that take either the dative or the accusative?
An, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor.
Great. Okay. How about some of these expressions here in number 5?
Okay.
Aus diesem Grund.
On these grounds.
Well, it's singular. On this basis or on this ground.
On this ground, okay. And then wir warten auf den Frühling. We are waiting for spring. And then the next one, these animals live off plants.
That's right.
And then the lecture begins at 8 o'clock, or at 8 o'clock, the lecture begins.
Yeah, great. Okay. This really means reading in front of, or reading in front of, say, a group of people who are assembled from lesen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice word. Die Vorlesung. Okay, so how about analyzing this first sentence?
Okay.
Where's the verb?
Seid.
Let me see if I can get it right color here. Okay, great. Do you like this color? This
Yeah.
orange color? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Zeit, yeah. So how did you translate that just by itself, giving us a pronoun?
Seid.
Well, you could just say it shows or
Okay, it shows.
yeah.
Sorry, it shows.
And what's the subject?
Die Bundesrepublik.
Good. Die Bundesrepublik. And what's the direct object?
Um, ein starkes Interesse
Perfect.
in
In
Interesse.
Interesse, yeah. Good. This whole thing right here is a direct object, and you could show how the verb transfers the action of the action of the verb to the direct object here. So the core
Okay.
sentence would be the Bundesrepublik zeigt ein starkes Interesse. Okay, now what is this nach here? What is this? How's this described? Do you remember this
So
preposition?
this knock is used in the sense of according to.
Yeah, and it's called a postpositive preposition.
Postpone. Okay.
So and whenever it's behind the noun that it modifies or indicated afterwards, then it has a different meaning. So nach can mean toward or after, but when it's after this, when it follows the noun in this particular construction, it means according to, and then that also takes the dative. That's why this is em here. So you want to do the whole sentence? You want to try?
Sure. According to this report, the Federal Republic shows a strong interest for ground or for basic research.
Yeah. So for fundamental or foundational research. Great. How about just translating this one?
Um, we learn not only for school but also for life.
Yeah. So für always takes the accusative. Remember, this is one of the ones that. So this is feminine noun, so it's die, and
Mm-hmm.
here für das Leben. So you have to know the gender of both this noun, and you have to know what case these prepositions take. It seems quite daunting at first, but obviously people who grow up in Germany will get familiar with this in their ear always. But here's a phrase for the school, and this is a feminine noun, so it's die because this always takes the accusative. Okay,
Okay.
how about just translating this one?
The romantic or
And
the
and this really means romanticism,
okay.
the movement.
Romanticism was an aesthetic literary period in the literature of various European countries.
hmm And this is what we call a compact genitive. There's no definite article here, but the er picks up what the definite article would have been. Again, this is something that's covered more in detail later. So you
Uh-huh.
could put der here in literature of, and then in this case the R is already taken care of, so this would end up being an N, and then we'll look at this more carefully later on. Okay, great.
Okay.
How about some of the stems here?
Okay.
So ein, what would some of these be?
Einmal, once,
hmm
and then is that einfach?
Oh, sorry, the
Okay.
ch is missing here.
So einfach is simple,
hmm
and then übereinstimmen, to harmonize or agree.
Good. Next one.
Erfassen, to grasp,
hmm
and
Isn't the Fass is also related to beer, isn't it? Like it's a Fass. What am I thinking? If it's on tap or something, you grab the. I'm not sure if it's related to that. Anyway, erfassen, good.
easily grabbable.
Yeah. Die Auffassung,
The a understanding or a conception.
good. Der Verfasser,
Author.
good. Right. Okay. And just Brauch, I just want to give meanings of these. Sorry, there's a ch missing here. I mean, a C right here. I have to add.
So brauchen is to use or want.
No, just to use.
Use or employ, maybe to employ.
Maybe.
And brauchbar is useful.
Useful or usable.
And then das Gebrauch
Sorry
is,
for the...
it's okay, is a use or employment.
Or a custom.
A custom. Oh, okay. Custom.
Now, miss is just like our word misanthropic. So someone who is, against or doing bad things to human beings. And it's used the same thing. So missbrauchen is to actually, you probably would understand, misuse simply.
Right. Misuse or abuse.
Yeah. In fact, as a preposition, misuse, misanthrope. It's an interesting connection there. Okay, let's go to
So for missbrauchen, would that normally be the esset?
you would have the S set here often if you had
Okay.
that on your typewriter. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the easy key or the 100 stems. Okay, so we had 14 and 15. Einfach, Übereinstimmung we had. Here's die Einheit, important words. Remember, you're only learning the words that are marked here. Der Vereinigung, which is a union. So Germany celebrates its Vereinigung, its 30th or 40th year. And so fassen is 15, to grasp or to lay hold of. Umfassen, comprehensive. Erfassen, to grab hold of. This conception, and author, we had this also. This is a very common form here. Sich befassen mit, to be concerned with or to occupy oneself with. It says here to come to grips with. Okay. Let's take a look at the easy key for page 6. And you could tell me if you have any thoughts about interesting combinations here. Blut. Well, here's braten, to grill or to fry or to roast. You have bratwurst, which is a very famous word.
Right.
Like go up to these Oktoberfest or anywhere, they're always serving bratwurst. Bratpfanne, this is the pan here, pfanne, and you also have Pfannkuchen, which we refer to simply as pancakes, Pfannkuchen. So it means that which is cooked in a frying pan is the word that they use for for pancakes.
Right.
Oh, ich möchte heute Morgen ein paar Pfannkuchen, bitte. Something like that. But by the way, when we get through the chapters and we get a little bit more time, we will have some experience in speaking German and doing some light conversation together, which really is beneficial to use the language actively as well.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So braten. Here's your word brauch, and to brook, to enjoy, limited to bearing something unpleasant. Any word combinations that come across to you as interesting or intriguing in looking at some of these?
Well, actually, on the first one,
Right from the
blouse.
top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was making me think of the female, shirt blouse that's usually, a lightweight.
Oh.
Not necessarily, see-through or something, but a lightweight shirt. And so it made me think of the same, probably came from the same.
I don't know. Maybe it did.
Maybe just a French term or something.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else in
But
particular?
I did like in Gebrauchen how they have, the Missbrauchen or Missbrauchlich is like, to use improperly, or something.
Yeah.
And
so you'll see this prefix on lots of other verbs as well, which obviously means the opposite of what the verb itself means normally.
Well, it was interesting that it originally was to enjoy and then became to, to have something unbearable or unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me think of, like a custom, that, is something that becomes a custom or a habit could be good in the beginning and then could become something bad later on. Or
yeah. Good. Here's the word to break. Our brechen comes directly from German. Verbrechen. The ver sometimes means the opposite of whatever. So brechen is to break. Verbrechen is das Verbrechen is a crime. So it doesn't. And der Verbrecher is a criminal. Ehebrechen. The Ehe is a word for marriage. So to break a marriage simply.
Yeah, matrimony. Yeah.
Okay, bright. Good. So let's go to chapter.
So for Ehebruch, at the last one there, adultery, is Bruch like a different form? Because it doesn't seem to be like a past tense.
No, it is brechen, brach, gebrochen. So bruch is part of that verb stem, but it's brechen, brach, gebrochen. It's not one of the three principal parts, but it's still etymologically related to the verb brechen.
Okay.
Somehow I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, because it looks like it would be a past, form of it or something.
Exactly. Yeah. It might be an earlier past tense form of that verb.
Okay.
That's quite likely.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so just before going into the sentences in chapter 5, we're just looking at some of these prepositions, and let's see. I mean, these are different expressions by thoughts. This is actually, sorry, this is the sixth edition. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the one we should look at first. Okay. So again, this chapter lists, as you've seen already, the prepositions that are always take the accusative, a larger number that always take the dative, and then these always take the genitive. So I would really urge you to put all these that take the accusative on one card or one piece of paper, however you're learning vocabulary, so that you can really solidify them in your mind that these are 100% accusative, and these a little bit more, a larger number are 100% dative, and these are always take the genitive or govern the genitive case. And then you have some that can take either or, and this mainly is the difference indicated is, as it indicates here, location, or the destination is the best word for showing something that is moving in some direction, which has the sense of accusative moving towards something, just like Latin and Greek would have the accusative case serving that function. Then you have then some idiomatic phrases that are good to review from time to time, because these are very common. These are not ones that you find only once or twice.
Right.
And then these are the contraction of prepositions. So am is very common, auf is less common, and fürs is less common, so it's more idiomatic. But im is, you see that everywhere. Ins fairly common. Ums, you wouldn't see this very often, but vom and zum and zur are always extremely common. And then it goes into the prepositions following the nouns, like we had before, die Straße entlang. Now, since entlang takes the accusative, that's why this is in the accusative. And since gemäß takes the dative, That's why this is in the dative case. So
Okay.
it all fits together in the system, but you have to learn the principles of why that is. That's why, I mean, even though we've gone over this before, and maybe even the quintillion recordings, I think it's good. Do you think it's good to sort of review briefly the grammar and
Yeah.
then go into the sentences?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you. I'm just kidding. So, Wagen always takes the genitive. That's why Ihre Geschwindigkeit on account of your speed. And this is extremely common. Meiner Meinung nach. Nach takes the dative. That's why it's meiner Meinung. What case does Gegenüber take?
Gegenüber is dative.
Yeah, and you can tell by the definite article here. Dem
Right.
Gesetz. So, with respect to the law, and this is a really nice phrase because over against, an older sort of English expression is over against the idea of Mr. Uh, Roosevelt or something like that. It's a really nice thing, but it means over against. It could also mean over across the street is the post office, or dem nach. Takes the dative according to this. Dem gegenüber simply according to that. And then this is Halber is very. Now I didn't assign this passage here, but it's really charming, and I thought I would just go through this,
Okay.
and I didn't assign, but I'll ask you some instances where we find these post-positive prepositions. So let's see. I'm just going to start here. So a thick Mercedes drove one morning at 200 kilometers an hour. Die Straße entlang. So where's your preposition here?
Entlang at the end.
Yeah, and what case does it take?
It takes accusative.
Good, here's your accusative. So along the street, a policeman stopped the Mercedes. And then here's uh, um, your separable prefix. Stop the Mercedes. In the large auto sat a doctor. He was on the way to the hospital. The policeman explained to the doctor or the medical person, den Vorschriften gemäß. How about this one?
According to the rules.
Yeah, and what case does gemäß take?
Gemäß takes the dative.
Perfect. Yeah.
No.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So according to the rules, you are driving here 70 kilometers an hour too fast. 70 kilometers per hour, which is like 40 miles over the speed limit. Ihre
Right.
Geschwindigkeit wegen. Here's another one. What case does wegen take?
Wegen takes the genitive.
That's right, genitive. So here's a feminine noun, ihre. So in genitive feminine, the ending is er. Um, let's see. On account of your speed, you are receiving a ticket, Strafzettel. For for this reason, you are stopping my car? Asked the doctor. I am I am a very important person in this city. Meine Meinung nach. How about this one? What's nach take?
Nach takes the dative.
Great. So and it always means according to in this position. According to my
Right.
opinion, I have as a doctor on the way to a hospital with respect to the law, no responsibility. And then demnach, what does this mean?
Demnach means according to this.
Great. According to this, the policeman said or thought, and he wrote uh, at that point a ticket. Gibt es für Ärzte keine Gesetze? Are there for doctors no rules? Oder means or sort of what gives. Ja, doch, uh, said the doctor. Yeah, yes, indeed, said the doctor. Uh, on the for the sake of speed, for the sake of speed, I was only speaking from my standpoint. So he's trying to get out of it or something. Okay. Anyway, it's a good practice for these post-positive
Right.
prepositions.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay, then we have indefinite pronouns man, jemand, niemand, and here you see both. Again, in this chapter, the first two principal parts are given, denken, dachte, for only the strong verbs, nennen, nannte, this hybrid verb, and then okay. So let's take a look at the 1980
Okay.
sentences. Sorry, scrolling down. In this column, they're actually just giving the present tense of the third person singular. So geben, gab, to give, he gave, and then just means he or she gives. But these two are the most important, and then the third column will be most important. Okay, so let's read a little bit, and then you can translate.
Okay.
Die Erde wandert in einem Jahr die Sonne. Everybody?
Die Erde wandert in einem Jahr die Sonne.
Der Mensch lebt nicht von Brot allein.
Der Mensch lebt nicht von Brot allein.
So what case does take?
Takes accusative.
And what gender is this? Obviously, it's
Feminine.
a feminine. That's why this is D. So really, when you look through these sentences now, and we're working with prepositions, which is really a stumbling block in a lot of languages, hard to get through and to understand how they function. It's really important to explain the form of the definite article that you see here. So you explain it by two things. This takes the accusative always, and this happens to be a feminine noun. So both are determinants of what the form of the definite article will be. Okay, number 2.
Translate.
Yeah.
Okay. A person lives not on bread alone.
Not by bread alone. Okay. Let's see. Let's do number 5.
Okay. One calls the ruler of a kingdom a king.
Good. So you could say man. Whenever you see man, it's 100% the subject of the sentence. So man one calls, or they call, or the ruler of a king, empire is called etc. A king. Yeah. How about number 7? Skip to 7.
One employs chromatographic methods also to identify different penicillins.
Yeah, for the determination of, I think you got it primarily correct, of different penicillins. Good. How about 8? What does vegan take? What case?
Vegan takes the genitive.
Good. So this is des, so this has got to be either masculine or singular. You can't tell, but it's actually masculine. Want to do that one?
Sure. Because of the high salt content, the Dead Sea is without animal life.
Have you ever gone swimming in the Dead Sea?
No, I haven't.
I walked up to the Dead Sea once when I was in Jerusalem, and I as I do in every body of water, I took a whole bunch of water in my hands and splashed it onto my face, and it started to sting like crazy, and it didn't go away for about 45 minutes. I tried to rub fresh water and sand into my forehead and everything. So it's so filled with.
That's amazing. It was that salty.
It's extremely, yeah, and it burns too. And you can go into the Dead Sea and just go in and just as if you're standing and you can't go any deeper than your waist or your midriff area. Okay, so how about number 9?
Okay. One uses a galvanometer for proof or for the measurement of weak current.
And beziehungsweise means that is, but that is to say. You could say that. So here you have the subject. One uses galvanometers for the proving, that is, for the measuring. And then here you have a compact genitive of weak currents, or of weak currents, like electrical currents or something.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think you got that right. I wasn't.
So zwacher, the er is since there's no der.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a genitive. It's what we
Right.
call compact genitive without the definite article here. That's right.
And
Great.
that's plural. Stroma.
Mm-hmm.
Struma. Okay.
Let's see. So we did this already. This one.
Mm-hmm.
How about number 11? Where's the verb?
The verb is verwendet
Good. And subject is?
man.
Good. Good. So how would you translate just those two?
One uses.
Mm-hmm. Good. And you have a postpositive preposition. What does this take? What case does this gemäß take?
The dative.
Good. Great. So you can do the whole thing?
Sure. According to the rules or instructions, I wasn't sure which one would be better here.
Yeah.
One uses a light indicator with sensitive instruments.
Good. Nicely done. Yeah. And with is fine, but by, the safest way to translate this is always in the case of.
Okay,
But
I had that, and it kind of sounded funny. I didn't know.
yeah. In what did you say? By sensitive instruments?
I said with.
With is fine. This is equivalent in the French to chez, oftentimes,
Okay.
in the case of, or at the home of, or
Right. Yeah.
or with. Okay.
Right.
How about the verb in number 12?
12. Var.
Good. Do you see a
Well, it's
postpositive?
var schon immer. Oh yeah, and then the post positive is vegan.
Good. What case does this take?
The dative.
No, this is
No,
genitive.
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 Genitive. Yeah.
So this is a feminine noun here.
Mhm.
So and what form of speech is this? Strategisch, even though we really haven't covered this yet.
An adverb. And
Good.
sorry, adjective.
No,
No.
you're right.
Is
First,
it an adverb?
an adverb,
Okay.
because adverbs have no endings. That's one way to tell them apart,
Okay.
because it modifies wichtiges, which is an adjective that has its ending modifying land.
Oh,
So
okay.
strategically important country. So do the whole thing.
Because of its position, Austria has always been a strategically important country.
Well, you just have var simply. So you would just say on account of its position, Austria was always.
Okay.
Well, when you have var actually with schon immer, the way that you translated it actually does work in German and is correct too. You could say literally, Austria was already for a long time a strategically important, or you could say Austria has been, because with the sometimes with the var and the schon, which we'll see later, the combination generates this translation. Okay. How about the verb in number 13?
13. Var.
Good. And do that whole thing.
The scientific and political situation in the nation was hopeless.
And what case is this? Im Lande.
Dative.
Good. Now, here's a little thing we haven't looked at a lot. In the dative case, sometimes they can add this E, which we're going to call a stylistic E, because it doesn't have to be there. But it just allows for the flow of the language a little bit better. Im Lande war hoffnungslos, as opposed to Im Land war hoffnungslos.
Okay.
Hoffnungslos. So oftentimes this can be added just for the style only of the lilt, sort of the of the flow of the sentence, but it only occurs in the dative case, this addition of e or leaving it off.
Okay.
And
then the
about,
second part is because of this, in my opinion, a revolution was unavoidable.
Good, great. So here's your phrase here, meiner Meinung nach. And nach, in this case, always means according to. Great. 14 and 15? Just 14 first.
Okay. A detailed explanation within the narrow field of this investigation is not possible.
That's right. Good. How about 16? Where's your postpositive preposition construction in 16?
Dem Namen nach.
Good. So what does nach mean here?
Here it means in name or in name only.
Yeah, so, that's how literally it's a smoother way, but literally it means according to. So according to the name only.
According to the name.
But in name only has the same sense. Now here you have just a accusative here. What do you suppose this implies? So I mean, translate 16.
For a long time.
Yeah. So sometimes the accusative, just like in Latin and Greek, can stand for the extent of time. So over an extent of time. Good. Let's see.
So for a long time, there was a German empire in name only.
Good. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so let's go to, you want to do 19 if you're...
Sure. In Germany, one calls America the land of unlimited possibilities.
And this is just a past tense, so one called America or one named.
One named, okay.
Yeah, good. Okay, let's go to 16. Let's take a, let's see. So we're gonna do 16. Just 3 to 6, 8 to 14, and then 18.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take a 3-minute break. How's that sound?
Okay. Sounds good.
Great. Okay, so, all right, so let's do, we're in the 5th edition of the Jannach, chapter 6, and we'll start with 3, and let's just read a little bit aloud. Die Erde bewegt sich in einem Jahr die Sonne. Everybody?
Die Erde bewegt sich in einem Jahr die Sonne.
Good. So what case does take?
Takes the accusative.
Good. Yeah. So it means around. It also means you use for a time. So 6 Uhr, so 7:30 Uhr beginnt der Film. So at 7:30, etc. But they don't get up 7:30 in the morning. If you said 7:30 in Germany, it would be 19:30 Uhr beginnt der Film. Okay. So you want to do just go with number 3?
Sure. The Earth orbits around the sun in 1 year.
Well,
For 3,
very literally, bewegt sich. I mean, very literally, it means moves itself. And we're seeing here in introduction or the first instances of a reflexive pronoun. So literally, it moves itself, or you could say revolves around, I suppose, in 1 year. Good. All right, go ahead.
For 3.5 centuries, Galileo was a heretic in the eyes of the church.
And then wurde zum became a heretic in the eyes. Just because wurde with zum together has an idiomatic meaning of turned into a, in the eyes of the church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he explained the orbits around the sun. I'm sorry. Because he explained the Earth revolves around the sun, not sun around the Earth.
Good.
As it was believed at one time.
You could say it was believed, or as one at that time believed.
Okay.
Good. Let's see. You want to do this one here, 2 of 4. So this means you remember the turn of the wall, the fall of the wall was 1989. So this is like 11. Almost 15. So that's why it's 15 years. So yeah, you want to translate that one?
Sure. And in the newspaper of the 17th of June, 2003, was stated.
You could say it stood or was stated, anything like that works.
Okay. 50 years ago, the first popular revolt began.
50. Wait a minute. That is right. That is 50. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. 50 years ago, the first popular revolt began in East Germany. At that time, there was 100,000 people in the streets of Berlin.
Good. And remember, gab es can be there was or there were. So since this is plural,
right?
At that time there were.
Okay. Today, one doesn't speak often about this uprising.
Good. Great. You want to go into 5?
Should I keep going?
Yeah.
Sure. The uprising began because of the situation with production. Wasn't sure exactly how to translate that.
The uprising began on account of wegen plus the genitive. This also can mean account of when it stands before the noun. So or you could say because of the situation with the production, and because of the long
and because of the long working days in East Germany.
And this is a genitive singular, so because des can only be either masculine or neuter singular because of a long work day in the DDR.
Long work day. Okay. One worked long hours, but one got for his work barely enough money to live on.
Yeah, good. Let's see. Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. Do number 6.
During the investigation, no one questioned.
This is plural. En.
Oh, okay. During the investigations, no one questioned about the situation at that time, or the opinions of the workers in the city or the country in the nation.
Yeah, or in the country. Yeah. So this is singular, or the opinion of the workers in the city. So in the investigations at that time, one did not ask, or no one asked. I think that's what you said. No one asked about the situation.
Okay.
Great. Let's see. 7 we're skipping. 8 to 14. Now, when you have we haven't seen this. It hasn't been presented yet. But da, when the verb comes right after it, means there or at that time. It's a adverb. So there or at that time. So you want to do that one?
At that time, someone stood at the corner of the church And protested against the government or the rulers.
Now, these are both, this is present tense, sort of historical present, and also this is present. So at that time, someone stands at the corner next to the church and protests. So, sometimes things are written in historical present just to give them a more sense of vivid
Okay.
against the government. Go on. Weiß jemand?
Does anyone or does someone know who that is?
Mm-hmm.
No one knows them.
No one knows it. Right.
Oh, no one knows it.
Let's see. How about this one? What is this phrase? What does nach mean in this connection?
That one is according to the reports.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's post-positive, so it does mean according to. You're right. According to a new report.
A new report. So according to a new report, the German Republic today shows a strong interest in medical research.
Mm-hmm.
On these grounds, the government fights for
singular.
The government.
Well, no, on this ground.
On this ground, okay.
Mm-hmm.
On this ground, the government fights for financing in a research center.
When you said on these grounds, that's really almost more idiomatic English than on this ground, or maybe you could say on this basis or something like that. So anyway, but
okay, on this
maybe, but grounds could probably idiomatically fit there in English. Yeah, on this
right.
ground, the government fights or struggles for. Keep going.
Financing a new research center.
Mm-hmm. Financing of a.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Someone from the government said.
Good.
That was almost always important.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Good. Let's see. Okay, so that's 9. And 36, 8 to 14. This is sort of interesting. Let's do number 10. Now, how about what sort of a phrase do you identify here, sort of up to this point?
So that's a dative phrase with nach meaning. That one I didn't know if it was really according to or after.
Well, whenever it does follow a noun, it always means according to. So,
okay. So according to well-known French composers, one needs today in the music world not only perseverance but also talent.
Good, nicely done. One needs today in the music world. Sowohl als, not only or both perseverance as well as talent. Good. Go on.
Right. For people or a person without perseverance, talent is hardly enough.
Good. Nicely done. Great. Okay. 8:14. Let's see. Let's just do 18.
Do you want to just keep going?
Yeah, I'm gonna scoot down to 18, I think. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think we did part of this before, but let's just read out loud first. Number 18. Seiner Lage wegen, everybody.
Seiner Lage wegen
war Österreich schon immer ein strategisch wichtiges Land.
War Österreich schon immer ein strategisch wichtiges Land.
Good. I just wanted to read this one because out loud, because oftentimes when you have these post-positive prepositions, this whole phrase is kind of considered as one that you read together. And when you have the post-positive preposition, oftentimes the last word, the last noun in the phrase kind of gets the accent. So it's seine Lage wegen. So on account of its situation. And then go on.
So on account of its position, Austria was almost always a strategically important land.
Great, good job. Okay, so we are happy not to read a passage up to this chapter, but we're going to go right into the workbook, which is fun.
Yeah.
And let's see. Let's see here. Now, this sometimes, generally, let's just take a 2-minute break, then we'll go into this.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Come back. Okay, so we're continuing with the workbook, and you can see the mark here. Now, sometimes the workbook will involve some introduction of grammar that is actually a step ahead of the Jannach, the principal textbook that we're using. But it's not bad to get even an advance a preview, let's say, like a movie, of something that will be then treated later on more systematically. So this is the case with these separable prefixes, that some verbs, or a good number of them, have a prefix on them, and they mean a certain thing because of that, and the prefix will float out to the end of the clause or the sentence, like you see in this illustration, abfahren. So fahren means to travel, but abfahren means to depart, to leave, so to travel away, basically. So der Zug fährt 6 Uhr Köln ab. So up goes here at the end, which means the train departs at 6 o'clock from Cologne. And here you have some list of verbs of prefixes that will always separate. So very common ones. So up on einsteigen. So einsteigen means to rise, but einsteigen means to get up into a train. But step up into a train, and that's the image. Or so those are some examples. Here are some verbs that have prefixes that do not separate, like beginnen. So be doesn't separate, er doesn't separate, fair doesn't separate. So some are verb trennbar, which means divisible. Some verbs they have separable prefixes, and some prefixes do not ever separate from their verb.
Okay.
So yeah. So anyway, let's take a look. We're going to look at the this little story back here, and it gives you the timetable of this trip. I'll just translate the first section.
Right.
Mr. Breuer lives in Cologne. Today he is traveling to Frankfurt. His friend lives there. Mr. Breuer takes the plan book or the schedule and reads on page 312 and reads the schedule on page 312. So then he finds 3 trains. Now they have a lot of different names for these, like the Eilzug, which just means limited stop train. Der Eilzug. We could just disregard this. Schnellzug is a sort of express train, and Personenzug is just like a passenger train without any
local train.
Yeah, exactly, without any designation. They may have different names for these now, but so, and what I'll do, I'll ask you to identify the several prefixes as we go through this. So let's read a little bit together. Findet 3 Züge, einen Personenzug. Everybody?
Findet 3 Züge, ein Personenzug,
einen Eilzug und einen Schnellzug.
einen Eilzug und einen Schnellzug.
Der Personenzug fährt um 15 Uhr, sorry, 5 Uhr. So you put the hour here, and then you just add the 14. 5 Uhr 14 von Köln up. So up to here, Sierra, where would be the verb? How would you identify the verb up to this und?
Abfahren.
Yeah, so
Or
fährt first, fährt,
fährt,
and then up. So notice
up.
the up doesn't go beyond this un, which is a coordinating conjunction. And then kommt und kommt 12 Uhr 47 in Frankfurt an. Where's the separable prefix there?
On.
Yeah,
Ankommen.
so when I would ask you to identify the verb, you would box both of these or indicate both of these. So kommen means to come, ankommen means to arrive. So whenever you add a prefix to a main verb, it will change the meaning, slightly or more. Okay,
Right.
so let's see. You want to start from here and translate the
Sure.
the passenger train?
Sure. The local train leaves from Cologne at 5:14 a.m. and arrives in Frankfurt at 12:47.
Good. Keep going.
It travels to Frankfurt in 7 hours and 33 minutes.
hmm
And has a 5-minute stop in Bonn. In Koblenz, it has a 34-minute stop, and in Mainz, a 40-minute stop.
So notice what Aufenthalt, which is the word for stop, is not repeated, but it's just sort of, you supply that as you did so nicely. Okay. How about up to here? Where's the verb complex? I mean, just the verb. Starting this next line.
Yeah, fährt ab.
Yeah, and that means?
To depart.
And give us a pronoun.
Um,
like it or they.
Yeah, it or he departs.
So you can say it departs because it's referring to trains.
Depart.
Okay.
Right, the train. Yeah.
Okay, so you translate that a couple sentences?
Sure. The semi-express train leaves at 8:58 from Cologne, but it does not go to Frankfurt, but only to Mainz.
Rather, only to Mainz.
Rather,
yeah, right.
Okay. Rather, only to Mainz.
Okay, keep going.
The express train leaves at 9:44 from Cologne and arrives in Frankfurt at 1:32.
Good.
The journey.
So she identified this on here as a separable prefix with kommt, which means
Right.
to arrive. Good. Keep going.
The journey lasts only 3 hours and 48 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The train stops in Bonn for 2 minutes, in Koblenz for 5 minutes, and in Mainz for 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let me scoot down a little bit here.
Okay. Mr. Breuer is taking the express train.
Mm-hmm.
The train ticket costs 24 euro. Mr. Breuer boards and goes to a compartment.
Mm-hmm.
There is a seat available.
Now, what about so steigt ein, so gets on the train. I think that's what you said. So,
right, climbs
so
on and boards the
climbs up like a wall. No, so
yeah.
notice this ein can't go any further because here you have a coordinated conjunction, so it has to stay on this side of it, and goes. And what case is this? Geht in ein Abteil.
It's accusative.
Good, because Teil is das Teil, so that's why this is ein. And he goes into a compartment. You know, the old trains were used to, you could go in and you could close this large glass door and 6 to 8 people would have their own private kind of traveling party or something. I always love those trains.
Yeah.
Keep going.
There is a free seat, or a seat is available.
Yeah.
Many people are traveling to Frankfurt. Mr. Breuer buys a newspaper and a magazine and reads.
Great.
The train travels via Bonn, Koblenz, and Mainz. Mr. Breuer takes his suitcase and his bag and leaves the train station.
Good. So you'll notice that nimmt seinen Koffer. So you can tell that this is a masculine noun because it's seinen, and then seine is for feminine. So die Tasche is feminine. Yeah. Keep last one.
He takes a taxi and drives to the Tal Street.
A directional accusative drives into the
into.
Or we could say, we don't always say into in English, but just to distinguish it, say there.
Okay. There his friend lives.
Great.
Or his friend lives there.
Great. Nicely done. And here's the whole picture of the travel right on the left.
Right. Yeah.
So we've had the conjugation already of these strong verbs that have changes in the second and third person singular. We looked at this already, and then right up. Let's see, and these are some expressions that are useful. So right now, the next one is 18. So number 18 on page 18. Let's see.
I think it was supposed to be 15 on page. I mean, if it's page 18.
Page 18 was what to do?
Übung 15. I mean,
Yeah,
I think it said 18 in the page, but I thought maybe it was in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So wo wohnt Herr Breuer? How would you answer that, or how would you? Because they give you the answer.
Herr Breuer wohnt in Köln.
Good. Keep going.
Heute fährt nach Frankfurt.
Now, with hin, this is actually separated. So, Herr Breuer, or fährt heute nach Frankfurt hin, you could say, because it separates.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. And then sein Freund wohnt in Frankfurt. Fährt heute ab.
Let's say fährt, Herr Breuer fährt heute ab. So heute would go right before the up, as you correctly did. I think you just made one little mistake. Okay. Wie viel Uhr fährt der Zug ab?
Der Zug fährt 9 Uhr ab.
Good. Number 6.
Der Schnellzug kommt 12 Uhr in Frankfurt an.
Good. You're separating these prefixes really nicely. Keep going. Do 2 more.
Fährt für 3 Stunden. Der Personenzug fährt von Köln nach Frankfurt in 7 Stunden.
Okay.
Der Schnellzug hat Aufenthalt in Bonn, in Koblenz und in Frankfurt.
Good. Okay, let's stop there. And then now here, 16, we're supposed to do just supply some of those verb forms. Say, do the first 5.
Okay. Do you want me to do this whole sentence or just the verb?
Just read the whole sentence.
Okay. Der Lehrer fährt nach Frankfurt. Fährst du auch nach Frankfurt? nimmt den Zug um 6:25 Uhr.
Perfect.
Der Zug hat in Koblenz 2 Minuten Aufenthalt.
Good. One more.
Ich kaufe einen Fahrkarte.
Good. Yeah, eine Fahrkarte. Good.
Right.
Let's see. 17. Now this one is really kind of tricky, but I mean it's really fun once you get down how these separable prefixes work. I think they're really fun. So this first one would be der Zug fährt, and you would say von Köln because it's depart 13:20 up. Yeah. You want to do number
Okay.
2 and go
Sure.
through, say 5 of them. Go ahead.
Herr Breuer kommt pünktlich nach Frankfurt an.
You could say in Frankfurt an.
In Frankfurt an. Okay.
Mhm. Now with verlassen, is that ver? Is that a separable prefix or not?
It's not.
Good. So do that one.
So verlässt in Bahnhof.
Well,
Or von Bahnhof.
It happens to have a umlaut. Verlässt den Bahnhof.
Verlässt den Bahnhof.
Mhm.
Okay. Der Unterricht beginnt 9 Uhr.
Mhm. Ja.
Der Lehrer wiederholt die Aufgabe.
Ja. Mhm.
Verbessert das Wort.
Mhm.
Verbessert das Wort. Erklärt die
Regel is feminine.
Die Regel. Okay, die Regel.
So here comes some other ones now. Number 6.
Okay. Herr Breuer steigt in Köln ein.
Ja.
Steigt in Frankfurt aus.
Perfect. 7.
Der Schüler steigt aus und die Zeitung kauft.
Well, the kaufen would come before. So der Schüler steigt aus
und kauft die Zeitung.
Kauft eine oder die Zeitung.
Okay.
Go on.
Mein Freund steigt in Köln ein und der Zug fährt ab.
Perfect. Do more. These are really fun.
I didn't even prepare this, so I'm just going.
Oh, really?
This is all on the spot, yeah.
Great.
Der Zug kommt nach Frankfurt an.
So in Frankfurt an.
In Frankfurt an und mein Freund steigt aus.
Perfect. Nicely done. Okay, let's see. Well, you want to try some of these? Why don't I do A and then you can do B?
Okay.
Wohin gehen Sie?
Ich gehe in die Stadt.
Ich gehe auch in die Stadt.
Okay, ich gehe auch in die Stadt. Okay.
So I'm doing column A and you'll answer with column B. You say gut.
Okay, ja. Gut, wir nehmen ein Taxi und fahren zusammen.
Wie viel kostet ein Taxi?
Das Taxi kostet nur 2 Mark.
Wie lange fahren wir?
Wir fahren nicht lange, nur 15 Minuten.
Fahren Sie oft in die Stadt?
Nein, ich nicht, aber meine Frau fährt oft in die Stadt.
Perfect. Was machen Sie heute dort?
Ich kaufe Bücher. Der Unterricht beginnt heute.
Was lernen Sie?
Ich lerne Deutsch. Meine Frau lernt auch Deutsch.
Verstehen Sie schon Deutsch?
Ja, aber ich mache viele Fehler.
Verbessert der Lehrer die Fehler?
Ja, der Lehrer verbessert die Fehler. Erklärt viel.
Wie lange dauert der Unterricht heute?
Der Unterricht beginnt um 19 Uhr und dauert bis 21 Uhr.
Hier kommt das Taxi.
Steigen Sie ein, bitte.
Great. Okay. So, well, let's just do let's see, like 5 or 6 of these. You either just use the right preposition according to the sense, and I'll do one sentence and you do the alternate sentences.
Okay.
Der Zug fährt von Köln nach Frankfurt.
Der Eilzug fährt nur nach Mainz.
Jetzt sind wir in Koblenz.
Wie viel Uhr sind wir nach Frankfurt?
No, you'd say in Frankfurt.
In Frankfurt.
At what time are we? Ich fahre heute nach Stuttgart.
Wie lange hat der D-Zug in Mainz Aufenthalt?
Good. Der D-Zug kommt 13 Uhr 32 Uhr in Frankfurt an.
Fährt der Zug nach München hier ab?
Was kostet eine Fahrkarte nach Hamburg?
Frau Meier kommt aus Berlin und fährt nach München?
You could say aus or von Berlin. Actually, this question
wasn't... aus. Sorry.
This question wasn't even answered. What does a ticket cost to Hamburg? She just disregarded the question. Let's see. Okay, that's great. Let's stop there. And let's see here. So, well, actually, this is okay. So, again, we're not going to be writing these out because we don't have time. But I guess next time, maybe I'll send you this in advance.
Okay. And
then you can write your answers right on the sheet, and then we can go over it in class like that. So
I didn't actually get to this part yet, Ron, so okay, I can do this for next time if that works.
Yeah, let's do let's see. Well, let's do every other one. I mean, I'd just like to get through it.
Okay.
So and you can do this on the spot too. So according to my opinion, Meinung, what phrase would you use there with a postpositive?
So nach meiner Meinung?
Well, nach goes afterwards, remember?
Oh, so, in meiner Meinung nach?
Yeah, meiner Meinung nach, meiner, because it takes the dative. Meiner Meinung nach.
Meiner Meinung nach. Die Erde wandert.
And so meiner Meinung nach serves as an adverbial, so you have to reverse the verb and the subject.
Wandert die Erde über die Sonne?
Yeah, die Sonne.
Die Sonne.
Good.
Okay.
I'll do the second one. The dog runs out of the house and into the forest. So der Hund läuft aus dem Haus und in den Wald. So aus takes the dative from where, and then the point is this is the accusative here because it's showing destination. Okay. A newspaper lies on the table. So eine Zeitung. So you can do that.
Eine Zeitung lebt.
Use an, and you have to choose the either dative or accusative.
On die Tische?
Good, yeah. Eine Zeitung liegt. Actually, auf is better. Auf dem Tisch. Because tisch is masculine, and auf dem, you use dative to indicate location. 3 Uhr
3 Uhr,
steckt.
Frau Meier.
So here you have a prepositional phrase, so you
Oh,
reverse
okay.
the verb.
Okay. Steckt Frau Meier. S.
Well,
Or
it looks like it's
Z. Sorry,
Z.
Z. Ins ihre Tasche.
Yeah, in ihre Tasche. Because it means
Okay.
into with accusative. Okay, we are studying for life, not for the. Wir studieren für das Leben, and then finish that.
Nicht für die Schule.
Good, because it's feminine. Across from the train station. Now, using gegenüber here as postpositive, so you would say Bahnhof is the train. So
the Dem Bahnhof.
Yeah,
Gegenüber.
Yeah, good. There is a.
Gibt es
Yeah.
eine kleines Geschäft?
Great. Gibt es ein kleines, because this is neuter. Yeah, even though we haven't had the adjective endings yet. Nicely done. Because of the late hour and wegen as a postpositive preposition, she remained from the verb bleiben in the. So you would start der späten Uhr wegen. So wegen takes the genitive, so it's begin that der späten Uhr wegen.
Wegen. Bleibt sie.
Yeah, or she remained. Blieb sie.
Blieb sie in die warme Hause? No.
This is how das Haus. So
das Haus.
Blieb sie in dem, and then
Dem warmen Haus.
House. Good. If you want to add a stylistic E, that would fit there. In dem warmen Haus or in dem warmen Haus. So, okay, let's see how many we have. 3 more, not too bad. Okay, along the street, use entlang as a postpositive. The child ran. So how would you start that?
Die Straße entlang.
Perfect. The child
lief das Kind.
Genau, because you have a prepositional phrase first, so the verb comes next. So, die Straße entlang lief das Kind.
Das Kind vom der Fluss.
This is masculine. Von dem
Fluss nach die Stadt.
Yeah, what you would say into using the directional accusative in die Stadt. So
in die Stadt. Okay.
Von dem Fluss in die Stadt. So we're learning that when you're looking at a phrase like this, you have to know 2 things. What case does this preposition take? So fun takes the dative, and then the required case here is the accusative because it's showing direction and motion. Okay, during the lecture, während der, so
der Vorlesung waren.
Well, this is not a postpositive, so you.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
But it does take the genitive. So während der Vorlesung, then keep going.
Während der Vorlesung las sie ein neues Buch.
Close. Ein neues Buch.
Ein neues Buch. Okay.
Good. My new book lies on the old table. Mein
neues
Buch.
Neues Buch
liegt, and then you're going to use auf with the dative or accusative.
Auf dem alten Tische.
Yeah, nice. There's a stylistic E you added. Always read With good light.
Lesen Sie immer mit guter Licht.
Mit gutem
Licht.
Licht. Yeah, perfect. Okay, congratulations. Good job on doing the sight reading, and thanks so much for helping us get through the content of chapters of lesson 6. So that's fantastic. Really appreciate this, Sierra, and we welcome you back to another session as we'll continue next time with Jannach chapter 7. Okay.
Okay.